All right, I'm back once again with some more exciting tales of the Silent Drill team from when I was a member. And in case somebody's wondering, I mean, you can see how the low quality of these videos. I work in fiber optics, and I drive a lot. So usually on my lunch break, or if I'm just driving back and forth, I get on here and I start talking. So right now I'm driving to another location. So that's what I do. It's really exciting work. I work by myself, which I really enjoy. I don't like being around people that much. I don't really like many people. If you're in my circle, I love you. If you're not, I just, not that I'm being mean, I just don't care about you that much. So, and the older I get, the more tribal I get. I want to be around people that think like me. You know, and I'm gonna get on a sidetrack here. There's companies out there, mostly the tech companies, and they say they want everybody. All they do is preach about diversity. Okay, so I help build fiber optic networks, so I deal with a lot of these people. My company is extremely conservative, but we're a contractor for a big tech firm, and so they're not, obviously. But what I've learned is these big tech companies, they want everybody to look different. They want every stripe, every color, everything under the sun, every gender, everything you can think of, but they want everybody to think exactly alike. They don't want you having independent thought. And that goes to the education system. I'm completely against the education system. Completely against it. Because all they're doing is indoctrinating you to think exactly like they want you to think. And so I'm not that guy. So the people that I associate myself with are of like-minded to me. It's just like, if you want to shut me out of your life because I don't think like you, then I'm gonna do the same thing to you. I don't need people in my life that think differently than me, and that's the way it goes. So anyway, got sidetracked. I do that a lot. I got ADHD is what they call it. But so anyway, the last two videos talk about Hell Night and hazing, and of course it never ended. It went on the whole time I was there. But after that's over with, it's like a Friday. You have the whole weekend off. First time you got liberty the whole time. And so after this, we started drilling day in and day out, sometimes 12, 14, 16 hours a day. There's nothing else to do, okay? There's PT, there's that, but there's really not much else to do. You're on a mission, basically. And so the mission was getting the whole drill team in sync, because this is not easy, okay? Now you're learning your spot. You're learning it, and keep in mind, there's 24 guys that march at one time, okay? You got 3 squads, 8 guys in each squad. Everybody knows their spot. Everybody is doing the exact same drill, but there's differences based off where you're at in that particular in the formation, okay? But you learn this by counting to yourself, like 1 and 2 and 3, because like you might have the opening movement might be 8 counts till you get to a stop and a rifle bang, boom, 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 you know. And then you have different formations, so it's not like you're counting from 1 to 1,000. Each movement, we're going to get from a 3-8 to a 2-12 formation, and there's different rifle manuals involved, and then but you're counting inside your head. The challenge you face is the fact that it's a natural thing to want to speed it up. You need to go basically in a methodical manner. You can tell when the drill team starts speeding it up, and you start racing through it, and then you're all out of breath and it looks sloppy. So they're constantly telling you to slow down, and sometimes they even get one of those, is it a metronome that counts like when you're trying to mark time? We've even used those before, okay? So like any other close-knit unit, whether it be military or sports, you start knowing each other and you know what everybody's going to do. So once you get to the point where you can slow this thing down to the right pace, it looks really sharp. And so of course there's different formations, there's different movements within this whole drill, and the whole thing lasts about 10 minutes. And that's just the drill part, not the inspection part, okay? That's a different part. So it's kind of like, if you're in the Marines, you understand what a PFT is. It's kind of like every time you run through the drill from beginning to end, it's kind of like running a PFT, because you're using these rifles that are heavy. I think I might have said that they're between 12 and 14 pounds before. I think that's wrong. I think it's like between 8 and 12. Really, they weren't like M60 heavy, but it's a big wooden World War II era weapon with a bayonet, so it's heavy. Now, the guys on the inspection team, which I still haven't talked about yet, I keep dancing around it, they had to do a whole lot more than we did. And they would shave that stock down to where their weapons were weighing between 6 and 8 pounds. Okay, they were really, really lightweight, almost like balsa wood. But it was a reason why, because they had a whole lot different things to do than we did. But I'll do a separate video on that. But anyway, that whole drill will just wear you slap out, because it's constant movement, constant rifle manuals, spinning this thing around, and it'll just take a toll on you. Now, we had this thing called the meat grinder, and there's different variations of it, and I've seen throughout the years, sometimes you got some Marines standing still while other Marines are weaving in and out, spinning this rifle around between them. It looks really dangerous, and it is. The year that I was there, actually the 2 years that I was there, we did it to where every Marine was marching. No one was standing still. They tried that once, and somebody didn't like it, and they quit it. So what we did is, if you ever get a chance to watch it, matter of fact, if you get on my channel and scroll down, I told you I got a lot of different type of videos. I have 2 videos there. One of them was, they're both from the same era. July 4th, 1991. We were on the NBC's Today Show, live from the barracks. And they showed the entire drill. So if you go watch that, it's right below, and you can see the meat grinder. And it looks really cool when you're watching it, because you see Marines, marching basically side by side, coming against one another, spinning the rifle in between them. So it looks like you're going to hit each other in the head or the face, which happens. Okay, you have to have a minimum distance between you. And again, as you're learning this whole thing, you're practicing nonstop, and you finally get to where you're not killing each other. But the thing that's funny is, when the first time you get the new 24 together to run through this thing, it's like a gaggle fuck. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. Nothing makes any sense. And I swear, the first day we did the meat grinder, like half a dozen guys are getting sliced in the head, poked in the face or the neck or the shoulder. It's because you're using a bayonet, and of course the bayonet is not sharp, like razor sharp, but it's a blunt object, and it's getting spun by a rifle. So of course, I'm not a physics major or anything, but I do know that when you're spinning something long, at the very end of it, it's going to be going a lot faster than there at the center. It's just what's called centrifugal force, I do believe. And so these things, they don't have enough distance. These guys will pop you right in the head. And it's always the first year guys, always, because they're brand new to it. So I remember my second year, sometime around lunchtime, we had like 6 guys had to go to the medical facility to get stitched up, and they came back later on that day, and they got bandages around their head, and it's kind of funny. But that's what happens, okay? It's not for the faint of heart. Anyway, that's what we did the whole rest of the time we were in Corpus Christi, and then later on Yuma. We got ready for our parade season. I'm sorry, our West Coast tour. And so what we did after, a few more days, we started our tour. And so generally the first show of the year is going to be like on the base we're at, which was, again, a Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi, Texas. It got rained out, which I was actually thrilled about, because I was scared to death to do this thing live for somebody. So we wound up, I think, flying. No, we actually did something up near Dallas, I believe. We did our first show, but it wasn't in Corpus. It was like Dallas, or I think it was Dallas. Yeah, I remember her fact it was Dallas, because we went to a strip club that some former Marine used to own. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that whole story. Wow, that was not a good night. You turn a bunch of egotistical jarheads loose in a strip club owned by a former Marine. I felt bad for those girls, really. I didn't do anything with them because I was too polite, but there were some guys who were just nasty. Anyway, it was Dallas, so we did our first show in Dallas, and it really was not that bad. And then we flew on C-130s all the way to somewhere in California, and we hit all the bases in California: Pendleton, San Diego. We hit a bunch of air stations that aren't there anymore, I believe. West Coast tour was actually pretty cool. The first one was, I was scared to death because, I was freaking brand new to this whole thing. But there's a whole lot of stories I could branch off from that one. Like, I met some really cool people. I met Sonny Bono out, and he was at the time, he was the mayor of Palm Springs, which is where 29 Palms is. And he was cool as he could be. He was a tiny little dude. He's like, we were all standing on line of attention. He comes by, "Hey guys, man, you guys are freaking awesome. I'm just really glad you guys came out here, do your thing, man. We're really proud of it." Sonny Bono was a huge fan of the military. And side note, a lot of people in Hollywood and the entertainment industry are huge patriots, love the military, love the Marine Corps, love America. They just can't say so because they're in an industry that hates everything that we stand for. But trust me, there's a lot of folks. I met a fine little lady who is was at the time a big time TV star. I'm not going to say her name, but she was a big time deal back in the early 90s. I met her quite by accident, really. Here I was, just a dumb country boy from North Carolina, and here I'm in California at San Diego, and I wanted some barbecue. I was craving some freaking barbecue. And of course, where I live, we have pork barbecue, but to me, I'm a barbecue connoisseur. I wanted to try some in California. So keep in mind, this is the early 90s. There's no internet, there's no cell phones, there's nothing like we got right now, okay? So I had to call a cab. No one wanted to go with me. They just thought that was stupid. And so I got in the cab and I said, "I want to go to a barbecue place." This guy took me to one. I get set down at a booth, a little booth. And this is April of 1990. And I had been sitting there a few minutes, and all of a sudden I just looked up and I see this movie star that I if I said the name, you say bullshit, that didn't happen. I have no proof of this other than my word as a gentleman that this did happen. Okay, there's no pictures, there's no nothing, but it promised you it happened. And she walks by, and my jaw like almost dropped because I know who this is. I've been watching her on TV for a long time, and I have really short hair. I have a high and tight. Of course, this is when the mullets were still in vogue, and no one really had short hair that much. And she stopped by and she goes, "Oh my goodness, I've never seen hair so short. You are adorable." I'm like, thank you. And I'm by myself, right? And she goes, "Are you here alone?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "You gonna have dinner with me?" I was like, "Of course I do, absolutely." And so we sat and had dinner together. And the cool thing about it was the fact that this lady was as normal as could possibly be. We didn't talk about her television or movie career. We just talked about, she was really interested in the Marine Corps. I think she told me her father or somebody in her family had been in a Marine. She was a huge fan of the military. Just thought we were great. And so we wound up chatting and having a good time at dinner. And I think for her, it just felt good being in a normal conversation with somebody who wasn't in her industry. I never ever brought the fact that I knew what she did. It just didn't go to that, okay? And so it's kind of like when people say, "Hey man, what's it like being on the drill team?" And he's like, "I just don't want to talk about it, really. Not that I'm trying to be a dick, I just don't care." But anyway, we got done, and she's like, she asked me how I was going to get back to where I was, because I told her I was staying at the recruit depot in San Diego. And I said, I brought a cab here. She goes, "That's ridiculous. I have a rental car. I'll take you back." I'm like, "This is fantastic." So this lady takes me back, and she drops me off at the front entrance of San Diego. And she's like, of course, there's the guardhouse, and there's some Marines standing there guarding the thing, and I'm wearing civilian clothes. And so she gets out of the car, and I get out of the car, and she meets me at the front of the car, and she gives me a big hug. Says, "I'm so glad to have met you. It's been a great time." And then she gives me this little kiss right here on the lips. It wasn't, I always try to tell people, it wasn't a very passionate, like, tongue thruster you'd see in a movie. It was just one of those kind of polite, "I'm so glad we met" type things. It wasn't, passion. There was no tongues involved, just a kiss on the lips, and that was it. And she smiles real big and gets back in her car. I'm standing there like, oh my God, I just got kissed by this. I'm not gonna say her name. This lady. And I just like, I can't believe this. And so I'm like walking back to the guard shack like I'm walking on air, okay? And there's this corporal standing there, and of course I had to show my ID. I'm wearing civilian clothes. And then he goes, hey, Marine. I said, yes, Corporal. He goes, that female you're with, is that who I think it is? Yep. He's, what unit are you with, Marine? I said, silent drill team. He goes, he hands my ID back, goes, fuck you, get out of my face. Yes, Corporal. And that was that. And I went back, I told my friends, like, bullshit, that didn't happen, you're lying. I'm like, no, I don't have any reason to lie about this. This is, I mean, that's what sucks about the fact that we have cell phones now and you can take pictures. Back then, you had to have a camera or one of those little disposable cameras and take it to get the film developed, which that happened later on, which got a lot of people in trouble with other things. But anyway, the West Coast tour was awesome, except for the fact that I got picked on nonstop because, again, I wasn't the best. I wasn't the best guy on the drill team. I really wasn't. I tried my best, but I wasn't. It just took me a while to find my groove, you know. But I said before in earlier videos, my confidence was shaken so bad because I was constantly harassed and told how much I sucked, I didn't belong there, that I really believed it. And so even though I'm trying my best, I'm just getting to a place where I got to turn right, and there's cars coming. Even though I'm trying my best, I couldn't overcome the constant stigma. You know, I mean, here I was the lowest ranking guy on the entire drill team that first year, so I got treated like a dog, and just constantly told, you know, every little mistake I made was just like the most unpardonable thing of all time. Here we go again, there's low, man, fucking up. I'm like, dude, I'm doing my best here. So, even though the West Coast tour was a lot of fun and stuff, it kept me in check knowing that I didn't belong there according to the, you know, these other senior Marines. And so I'm gonna cut this video off right here because I could tell a million stories of that whole thing. The cool thing was San Diego was awesome because that's where all the recruits are in boot camp for the West Coast, and they had the whole parade deck, like they had all the recruits and the whole entire base out there, and it's like a big square, like you're in the center of it. And it was cool because everybody was just like screaming and yelling, and they thought we were amazing. We did too. And so we did the same thing at Camp Pendleton for School of Infantry. And since we were all grunts, you know, for some reason it became noticeable that the ones who loved us the most were grunts. All the infantry guys, they thought we were awesome. So we always put a little bit more extra emphasis on our drill around grunt bases because, you know, we're all you know, infantry guys. So, and there's a huge divide, I swear, between the infantry and the air wing. Completely different Marine Corps. But anyway, that was fun. So we had to fly back to DC sometime in like April or May because parade season starts in May, and that's a whole different ball game right there, which is going to be subject to another video. So I'm going to cut this thing off and do that later. Later, taters.